Hey Kyle here. In this 7-part series, I am answering a question that many followers of Jesus have. How do I talk about my faith and it not be so weird? Or its common cousin, how do I invite someone to church and not feel so awkward? In the first video of this series, I reminded us that the foundation is having an active faith. And this pushes us to reliance on the Holy Spirit, connecting regularly with God through prayer and Bible reading. In this video, I am going to address another barrier to sharing our faith that has nothing to do with the actual words that come out of our mouth in conversation. This fundamental barrier is actually being around other people, or I should say, not being around other people. At a first glance and upon hearing that, you probably think that's pretty obvious. In order to talk about your faith, you have to be around other people. I am less convinced that it is obvious. In our current moment, our world is globalizing, which means we have access to finding people who think and act like us like never before. And as our world becomes bigger, it thus becomes smaller because we find great comfort in spending time listening to and talking with people who both think and act like us. So the challenge for the Christian believer is to break outside these circles of like behavior and like actions for specific moments of intentionality that can lead to conversation and eventually friendship, and thus connecting with people who don't know Jesus. We must reduce the distance between us and others. And in order to do that well, we must have an active faith. As Christians, we must be both proximate and present with other people. When you have an active faith and are proximate and present with people, you have a higher probability of functioning like a thermostat in a room rather than a thermometer. And you won't be so easily swayed by others. I know as I challenge believers to be proximate and present with people who don't think and act like them, that there are going to be some natural objections, both because of our flesh and the comfort that we like and the control that we like, but also because there is a concern for those with addictions or maybe kids. Well, let's set some of those special circumstances aside for a moment. And let's work specifically with you who have an active faith and want to get better at sharing your faith. First, you have to go near other people. A great question to begin with on this journey is, where do I go regularly? Make a list of places that you go regularly, whether it's to the store, whether it's to a job, to an office, to a gym. This question will help us realize that there are places that we already go and are around other people. This question is also two-sided because maybe it will alert us to the reality that we don't go as many places as we think, and that we might not be around as many non-Christians as we think we are also. If you are never around other people who think and act differently than you, then you'll have a lower percentage of chance of being as effective in talking about your faith when you are. We need to get to know other people. We need to be able to know hopes and names and dreams and fears of people around us. That will help us better connect with them. A simple exercise beyond just the where do you go regularly would be to draw a tic-tac-toe board, place your house in the center, and label those connecting boxes with the people who live around you, your neighbors. God has purposefully placed you where you live right now, and it is likely around other people. You are likely surrounded by other people. So begin praying for those names and those houses if you do not know them. And if you know those names of those houses, begin looking for ways to connect with them. You do not have to go very far to realize that you are around people right where you are. Second, we must shift our mental state from being distracted to being present. Sometimes we can be near people, but we aren't actually there with them. You know those moments when your mind wanders and you have all kinds of people sitting right around you. The temptation is very real in the moments of transition or awkwardness to pull out our phone and distance ourselves from the situation and from those around us. We pull out our phones to fill a void that is more like an opportunity to connect with those around us. So, in order to grow in this area, we must make room for interruptions as we are on the go. When you feel that temptation to pull out your phone, I would encourage you to put your hand right on it. You know your phone's right there, and count to 10. And ask the Holy Spirit in that moment, okay, Holy Spirit, is there anyone around me that I can start a conversation with? Or is there anything that I notice about those around me? What you have done in that moment is created some space to be in tune with the Holy Spirit. You are near other people, and now you're moving from just simply being near them to being fully present. When we begin to apply these tips and tricks, a few that I have suggested, it will drive us to prayer, reliance of the Holy Spirit, and reconnecting with God. And ultimately remembering, why are we doing all of this to begin with? Why are we intentionally pursuing and being around other people? It's because of Jesus. And we at Generation say this repeatedly. Because of Jesus, for generations to come, to know the name of the Lord and what he has done. So we must be people who have an active faith, move from that active faith to being proximate, being near people, and then being present with them. And that level of foundation will enable us the time and the space for the Holy Spirit to use us to talk about our faith with those around us. If this video was helpful, please like and share it. Be sure to check out more videos by the Generations Church team, because we want your faith to be an everyday faith.